Get out of there.
All right, so two different martial arts.
Two different martial artists. So, the first martial artist, is the guy who has the insecurity. I think everybody who's drawn to martial arts knows that they're missing something. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not the biggest, they're not the baddest, but they want to be. I, for one, named after King David of the Bible. He fought Goliath. So my thing was like, how the heck would I fight Goliath? I can't carry a sling around with me. Mm-hmm. How am I going to survive? When it comes. Mm. So for me to take on Goliath, I needed some tactics. I needed some way of doing it, and martial arts was very attractive to me. Especially being the son of a minister. That guy's going to turn the other cheek. Let's pick on him. Yeah. So that's what attracted me. What attracts them, right? And then where do they take it? My grandfather said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I'm sure he was quoting somebody, but I'm quoting him. I'm a huge fan of that statement because you see that. You see, that was what my one grandfather said. The grandfather on the other side said something similar. He said, the true test of a man is to give him a little power and to see what he does with it. And that's what you see in the martial arts. You see the true test of a man happening over and over again. You see megalomaniacs. You see these guys that it's just everything is about them and them. And you see beautiful, beautiful people. You see the diamond in the rough. You see, the rose growing out of the pavement. I see that time and time again. I'll meet somebody, and my first thought is, here we go. Another,
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about how you're so wonderful, And then all of a sudden, it's, how you doing? And he's a real person, and he's not 1,000 titles, and he's not how wonderful he is. It's not a story about how he can move the heaven and earth, with his whim. I don't know if you know this, but I have the key of 80 men. It's like, oh God.
Key of 80 men.
Here we go. I have developed, and the deep voice and all this stuff. There's so many of them, and it's so nice when you do meet that genuine person, and there are a lot of them out there. I try to associate myself with genuine people and real beautiful martial arts. What the true essence of martial arts is about, what it's supposed to embody, that's who we try to associate ourselves with. And thankfully, most times, we do. We get those great people visiting our dojo, and we get to visit their schools, their dojo. But that other essence, it's out there. What's interesting is that I find the lousiest schools, and I hate to say this, but it just seems to be paralleled. It's the lousiest martial artists are the ones that are bragging and talking about how great and legitimate they are. And I think that is it. Like, you stink, and you stink, and you stink, and you stink. Really? Or is it maybe... I was watching this comedian, and I was laughing hysterically. He was... I forget who the heck the comedian was. He was one of those Southern comedians. I can't...
Not the guy that says, get her done.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the get her done guy, but it was one of those guys. I think it was Ron White, And he's talking about how he was touring in, like, Afghanistan or something, doing the GI thing, making the GIs laugh, and he's talking about these women. There's a couple of women in the crowd, and he says there's so many soldiers out there, and he's saying that they're all horny or something like that, and this woman yells out, I forget, he yells out a number. There's like 3,000 men in attendance or something like that, and she yells out, yeah, and they all stink in bed, and And he says, he's like, do you think maybe the common equation in this is you? It was just great the way he did it. It was very poignant, and I see that, I see that when these guys, I hate to say the name of the organization, but it starts with B-U, B-U-J, B-U-J-I-N. But, these guys, they just tend to be really full of themselves. And you can't say it as a whole, because there's thousands and thousands of them. But not as a whole, but man, they come out of the woodwork to just flex that ego and to tell you about how they're super legitimate because their teachers got slanted eyes.
And that's no diss to Asian people because we love Asians.
I love the Asians, okay? But I'm not going to say that I'm just an amazing teacher and it's because I'm white.
Right.
Bri, he's a damn good student. It's really because he's black. It has nothing to do with it.
And they actually boast like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, your teacher's not even Asian.
Your teacher's not even Japanese. It's like...
That doesn't really matter anymore. With the information world that we live in, technology...
What are you talking about?
It'd be different if there were no airplanes where you can't go and, train with Asians.
Yeah, exactly, right? I had an Asian student. I have had many Asian students, but one of my Asian students, he was 14 years old. I'll never forget it. It was like it was yesterday. He says to me, he's trying not to insult me, but he's got this thought that he wants to express, and he says, Sensei, one day I'll be better than you. And I said, well, you can hope to. You can train to. You can try your best to become better than me. He goes, he's like, I'll be better. And I went,
because he's Asian?
Yeah.
Oh,
it eventually came out, and I was like,
oh, God,
how can you be
funny.
so sure that you would be and stuff? And then eventually came out, I'm Asian. And I looked at it and I was like, that's not going to help you. That is not going to help you.
It's different if you're stuck in Japan and you're born in a village and you have no way out of that village and the only thing you have to learn is martial arts. Maybe then, when there's no TV or video games.
But that's called culture.
Culture, right. And you're in America, so...
And if anything, America is the culture that's going to make your martial arts better.
Right.
And there's no crime in Japan. There's next to no crime in Japan. So... Unless you're talking about Roppongi. Don't go to Roppongi. But I went to Roppongi. It was 5 minutes in and I got into a fight. And I don't fight.
Really?
Yeah, my cousin will tell you. It wasn't like an all-out brawl, but it was people coming up to you grabbing you something. Get off of me! What are you doing? Wow. Yeah, Roppongi's it's not even considered a part of Japan, but it's in Tokyo. It's like no man's land. It's like old West Town where police forgot about it.
Dang.
Yeah, it's crazy there. But aside from that tiny little spot, it's not even considered. The Japanese people don't consider it to be a part of Japan. It's like where all these crazy reject tourists go. So I was all about going.
Sounds crazy.
Sounds wow.
Have fun.
I'm going.
But yeah, the point is, you don't have to be Asian to be good nowadays.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Right? No, you're right. And it's about culture. Yeah. It's about culture. And you know who's a good martial artist culturally? People who come from the Bronx. I'm just telling you. People who maybe grew up in Queens. Culturally, Philly. Philadelphia. People who come there. Because nobody's doing fake martial arts if you go to Philadelphia.
No, because you're getting real punches thrown at you.
Come on.
I like to shout Jersey out because that's I've gotten a couple of scuffles.
Yeah.
There's more than one person coming at you, and everybody back home, you know what I'm talking about. You got jumped by 2 or more people. There was no what we used to call the fair one, which was 1-on-1. You never shot the fair in Jersey. You were up against multiple people, and you had to pack something or know some kick-ass martial arts. And nobody really knew martial arts.
And how to swing a pipe.
Yeah.
And that's it,
Ice picking, you got
there you go.
Something. A rock, brick, something.
But it's gonna work.
It's gonna work because it has to work. You're gonna. What's the word?
What's that? Tension.
You might have tension.
Yeah. So.
Oh God.
So what it comes down to, I think, is definitely a culture. It's not about race. It's about culture. It's about culture. What culture are you brought up in? And unfortunately, or fortunately, every strength is a weakness, and a weakness a strength. That street culture is going to be essential to at least the spirit behind martial arts.
Survival.
Yes. I need to frighten my students, and when the parents see me doing it, some don't understand, and some do. You know, my teenagers, I scare them, and I mean to, and that's important, because if I don't scare them, they're never going to get the essence of the technique, and it's not going to become a reaction. It's going to be something that I'm learning. You got to be scared into motion, scared into reacting, and then that martial arts starts to become real. You know, people who don't, when we say, you know, body, mind, spirit, we say it all the time, people don't appreciate the spirit part. There's a spirit behind martial arts, and if you don't have that grit and that I'm gonna kill you, if you don't have that, then you're not training. You know, you're training two sides.
And then you have those martial arts that do mostly calisthenics, you know, or kata.
It's a real good workout.
Really? Because you ain't got nobody coming at you. What's it for?
Well, it has its place for them, and that's cool. Do what you wish. You get you really nice plastic trophies. 6 foot plastic shiny things to brag about, and that's cool. If that's what you're doing, go for it, man. Get the best darn medals out there.
Ain't no point system on the street, bro.
It's just, what's your goal? You know, what's your goal?
Olympic? If you're shooting for the Olympics, go for the point system. You don't want to learn how to strangle somebody to death. You don't want to learn
how to break some arms.
Yeah, you don't want to learn any of that destructive stuff. You want to go with points. It's a tap and point.
Yeah, and turn your back so that they can't tap you.
Yeah,
and you turn your targets.
And it's only one person you're against.
That's cool.
That's real.
It's whatever you want. Whatever you want. Whatever you want. So it brings up it brings up something that's become it's like a saying now. Do you hear them? They're talking about on the message boards online and stuff, and they mention it. Oh, I come from knife culture. I come from knife culture. That's the new thing. And I think that's very poignant.
Knife culture?
Yeah, I come from knife culture. You know.
What's that, like culinary?
Yeah. No, it's most of them I believe are like Indonesian and Philippine.
Oh,
like
is that really what they call it? Knife culture?
That's what they're calling
it. Like a AKA?
I think that's like the new catchphrase.
Knife culture.
Like I come from knife culture. So when you're talking about martial arts and they say that they come from knife culture, it's nice because it gives me a warm fuzzy. Because, you know, I watch these guys that like they grab you and they pull you down on top of them, and now they're going to do some wrestling moves on you. And I'm always thinking, I'm going to pull my knife out, I'm going to gut you like a fish. You know, I always think that way. I'm sorry if that's graphic. I always think that way. I always think, I'm going to gut you, you know? And these guys, these Filipino martial artists and these Indonesian martial artists, they're thinking, you can't do that, because I'll kill you. You know, that's where, you know, that's where I'm at home. I think it's so strange, these modern concepts about rules, and it's like, get to the streets. You know, the guys from Maryland, we jived like crazy. You know, King Sensei, if you're out there, you know.
What's up, King Sensei?
We jived like crazy. The first time we got to know each other, it was like, you know, he's hardcore. He grew up in the streets. He had to fight to survive. Yeah. So I can appreciate what he's doing on the mat, and I can appreciate and he appreciates what I'm doing because he's looking at it and he's going, yeah, that's for combat, that's for real. These other guys, they're like, okay, so what you want to do is You want to duck down like this, and then you want to grab him around the waist, and I'm thinking,
like, what's stopping the knife from coming down into your back?
Well, it's a weird, it's a weird thing, right?
Waste of time.
Well, it's so interesting.
Waste of life.
When people slap these labels that don't belong, and they're like, we're talking real combat. We're talking real combat. Real combat is I break a bottle on your head, then I gut you with that bottle. I try to get as many glass shards as I can into your neck. That's just a different,
Training to die.
Yeah, it's just different.
Technique of the week.
Now, in judo, and when a person's grabbed you, they get to hop around and move. So it's like, if I try to set your weight here, you're going to fight and move. What I want to do is I want it to not be something that I'm doing to you, it's something that we are doing together. That's interesting, because that's like super key. Because in martial arts, you're always trying to do something to the other person, and that's why it's not working. Because for me to affect him, right, very difficult. For me to affect me, I know how to move me. That's my goal. My goal is to move me. If you want to come along for the ride, you don't have a choice. That's the plan. So when there's an attachment, doesn't matter what the attachment might be, it's attach, right? And then watch me move, right? Me move. This is all about what I'm doing, not about what he's doing. Believe it or not. So here, and then I move, and then watch my hara. What was my hara do? That's where that back pressure, that foot up both sides, comes in. That's spiky pressure. Now, if you want to skim it and shave it, you don't do all that. You do spiral. So it's here. It's not. Penn State. I'm in college at Penn State, and I'm in an Aikido class. I was studying Kokikai Aikido. And the reason why I was studying Aikido is because it was available to me, and I always wanted to keep an open mind. And I had trained at this point, I had trained in ninjutsu, and I had trained in Sogobujutsu. So, learning Aikido was interesting. This guy came in, and he was a Muay Thai kickboxer.
Oh.
And the teacher kept asking, "Are you here to train Aikido?" He said, "Yeah." And he came over to me. He's like, "Yo, I heard about your skills." I was like, "Really? Why? From who?" He goes, "Well, the Aikido's brother. He had a stepbrother. He told me that you learned some classical stuff and some really deadly stuff." I said, "Well," I was like, "Yeah, maybe. I don't know." I was like, "We're doing Aikido now, so let's just do Aikido." And he goes, No. He says, "You got to show me some of this stuff, because I'm a kickboxer. I just want to know how it would fend against a kickboxer." I was like, "Why don't we talk about how Aikido is going to fend against the kickboxer? Because we're in Aikido class."
Mm-hmm.
And I kept trying to bring it back to that. Well, he wasn't having it, and when he thought that I wasn't looking. He threw some quick jabs. First he started with a front kick, and he almost caught me with it. And I just turned my body and quickly evaded. Did some Tai Sabaki, and I quickly evaded. And barely. I mean, it grazed me. And then the jab and the cross came, and when he's boom, and when he came with the cross, when he came with the jab. I was ready, I had my hand up, boom, and then when he came with the cross, it was right there. I deflected it, gripped it, and threw him with Tehana. Now this is a man, it was really interesting for me because it was the first time I'd thrown someone hard.
Give him some. So it's a
Yeah,
jab.
so it was jab. It was actually.
Or was it the left side?
It was the left side jab, and I went, boom, and then here, boom, here, and then I came up with Tejana, and I flipped him.
Wow.
So when he goes up and over, right? He doesn't know what the heck he's doing in the air, and I was very intrigued. I mean, first and foremost, I was freaked out, but I was very intrigued to watch this man who doesn't have a lick of break falling experience in him.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, it wasn't.
Oh no! So he hit the ground and broke something.
Oh, most definitely.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So he's upside down.
Was there
and
a
he's
mat?
like, you should no. Well, there was, but we were standing on the outside of it.
Oh no!
Yeah, there was a mat like in front of
And
us.
this guy's attacking you full on.
I don't know.
What
Maybe
the hell?
maybe he's toying with me. I don't know. All I know is the kick comes in. I go whoa, and then I see the hand. I'm like, whoa, boom, 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 and I come in and I take him up.
Oh.
And I take him over.
That had to. Wow.
And I see he's kind of he was like a muscular, thin guy. He's upside down and he's like this in the air. Like I mean I got his arm, but he's like, you know, and like just crazy in the air. And he's about to hit head first, so I pull on his arm, so he hits like the side of his head and the shoulder that I'm wheeling him with. So he's like that, and his whole body is lands on the side of his head and his shoulder.
So you saved his life basically
Oh.
when you pulled him, because he would have landed directly on his head.
Right. And that would have been that, I think. You know, you don't know, but it certainly looked like that. So he's landing, boom, and he gets up. I'll never forget this. He gets up. I let him go at that point because I was like, I was thinking, I just screwed this man up.
Yeah, right. Because he wrenched him.
And he's landing on a basketball court floor.
Oh.
And I figured, oh man, I'm gonna be in trouble. You know, all these thoughts, like thoughts of like, yes, I did it, and the other thoughts were like, oh no,
All right.
no, I
The
did
art
it.
is
You
when
know,
it's full force is very destructive.
oh no, I did it, and then I didn't know what to do. It was just like, oh, so I let go, which you shouldn't do. You should lock him up. You should continue, but I let him go, and he's like this. But the weirdest thing is, he crunches. You could hear the crunch.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't just hear the impact of him landing. You heard a crunching sound. Then he pops up onto his feet like that. He's crunched. He's upside down, crunched, and he gets right up, and he's on his feet, and he's on his feet, and he's like this on his feet. And I go, "Are you okay? I'm good. I'm fine."
Oh God,
I
you got
guess
one of these guys.
I'm fine. And I go, "Oh my gosh." And his shoulder, I mean, I popped it out of joint. His shoulder's like hanging in his armpit. It's so far down, it looks so weird.
Oh my gosh.
His arm's not attached. I mean, it's attached by ligaments and
Right.
skin and
Dislocated, basically.
oh yeah. I mean, it's out. And it's hanging. That was the first time I saw that before too. So, I'm young, I'm in college. First year of college. It's hanging. I'm like 18. It's hanging, and I go, oh, this is my response. My response is,
And he probably doesn't feel the pain because the adrenaline is
I'm
pumping
good.
through him.
I'm
Right.
good.
But
Like this.
a half an hour later, he's like, ooh, probably.
So no, I don't know.
Oh my
So
God,
I go. Let me help you. No.
He's
Like
too
this.
prideful to have you up.
No, I'm good. And then
That's the worst.
And then he hops away. Like with he's like Hunchback of Notre Dame, like hopping away. And I go, sir. I'm like, look, I'm sorry, man. like that was like I.
At this point, did you know how to? Because I know you know how to do it now, how to pop things back in place. But did you know how to do it then?
No,
Nah.
I couldn't have helped him.
Ah.
I would have been like, what do I do with that thing? But like, I would have just called. I was gonna call.
911?
Yeah,
Just,
it was
yeah, but he
like-
was too prideful to have that happen.
I have no idea what happened to that guy. I never saw him again.
Wow. That's crazy.
It was weird.
That's crazy, man.
So the moral of that story is, it doesn't matter if they know how to break fall or not. They're going,
Yeah.
and you have to save someone that doesn't know how to break fall. That's
That's what I learned from that.
He would have died if you hadn't pulled him.
And then when you pull them, if you pull them a lot, they land on their back. I learned that later. Different story. If you pull them a little bit, because I wasn't used to pulling people. I was used to, in the dojo, you work them, and they're trained so they land right. So I'm working him, and he's not trained, and he's not landing right, and he's upside down, and it was so scary.
It's amazing. People don't understand these throws that we train are literally called death throws. So one throw and you're dead because you have to get on to the rest of the group of guys that are attacking you.
Right, it wasn't
as far as feudal Japan goes.
Right, in feudal Japan, you didn't have time for this guy. You had to get rid of this guy because that guy's coming.
One toss, you're dead.
Yeah.
So Sensei actually
no back and forth.
Right, you saved this guy's life, basically.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
That's crazy because in feudal Japan it was death,
Yeah,
death,
concussive
death,
throws.
death. Yeah,
Concussive throws that landed you on the back of your head.
because if you
spilled
did,
your
you had to
head,
worry about him.
Right.
You had to worry about this guy getting up.
You're landing them with all the momentum of that you can muster, plus your body weight behind it, plus his body weight behind it, plus the momentum that he lent you, plus the momentum that you stole from him.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you can, thrust it into a throw to crack his head like a melon on the ground. And if that doesn't crack, don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
That concussive force of his body crunching on top of itself will sever the cerebral cortex, and he will be done. Nobody's going to get up and be like, I'm good.
Yeah,
You know?
these techniques have been forged on the battlefield.
Right.
So
So
they work.
After the throw, nobody's going to come up and throw another combination. It's just not going to happen. So,
Right.
so it was crazy. It was a crazy, scary thing, and I pulled way too late. Way too late because I was too busy interested in the like I was watching it. Like, whoa, and you don't have a lot of time in your throw. I'm thinking about the jab. I mean, talk about late. I'm thinking about the jab and the cross while I'm throwing it. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I didn't get hit. I'm like excited about that.
Yeah.
And then I catch up to being excited about the throw while I'm already throwing, and then I'm looking at him and he's like through the air, and I just thought, oh no.
And that's like a split second
Split
thought.
second. Oh no. And then I pulled way too late. And that's why I landed on his shoulder and his head.
So what's the story about you pulling? You said you can pull so that they land on their back.
Yeah, I've done that.
What was that story about?
That's an embarrassing tale. For next time.
Okay.
Lehigh Valley.